What if I told you the best beer you'll drink this weekend has zero alcohol? Well, you'd probably punch me in the face. But anyways, if you're trying to cut drinking and want a little bit of help, what if I told you some of these beers that I've discovered, you won't even be able to tell the difference? On this episode of Over-40 Fitness Hacks, we're doing something a little different. For those of you who are trying to stay social and stay healthy, but don't want to give up alcohol, or maybe you do, but you know that as we get older, those calories, that alcohol, and that next day drag is hitting a lot harder. And in this episode, I tell my story of how I got into some of these non-alcoholic beers, these new ones coming out, not the old ones. And I go through all the different ones I've tried, and I've spent a lot of money in the last 5 months trying everything. Then I give you my top reviews on each category of types of beers. So if you love beer, want to feel better, sleep better, be sharper the next day, you're going to want to hear this. Stay tuned. So I keep talking about my SKOOL community that I'm on, and I've grown into about 100 members. And I'm really trying to help out the over 40 crowd, putting a platform out there that's better than Facebook groups. I really love this SKOOL setup. Having any type of discussion, if you can look at the tabs here, from general discussion to focusing on diet, movement, inflammation. This is just where I'm spending my time. Once again, check out the show notes for the link, or if you just Google Over 40 Fitness Hacks SKOOL, SKOOL, I will be the first thing that pops up on Google with the SKOOL emblem right there. And you can sign up that way. Check us out. Hope to see you there. Okay, I wanted to do a fun episode and talk about something that's helped me lately. If you've been listening to my show for a long time, you know I'm a social drinker. I love my cocktails, mostly gin and tonics and whiskeys, stuff like that. But I also love my beers. I know beers are the ones that have all the calories, so I try to stay off of those when I can. And if I am going to be drinking, just sticking to kind of the harder stuff. Responsibly, of course. Funny enough, a lot of my audience that I've talked to don't drink at all, so I hope there's some out there that still do that I can help. Or for the ones that already quit and didn't know that some of this stuff existed, I wanted to share what I've found as some of the top beers, mock beers, for those of you who quit and like the taste of beer. It's always been a struggle. We always had the O'Douls, Corona Lights or Corona Zeros, the MGD Zeros. And they weren't the greatest tasting. I guess the Coronas were always the best because you just put a little bit of salt and lime in it and you can get by. But oddly enough, I started getting back into this because of my dad. So my dad quit drinking about a year and a half ago, and he had problems with atherosclerosis. He's in his 80s, just kind of crept up on him. Not to say that his drinking caused everything, but drinking's not the greatest. And then it came out with that report from the FDA with a 30 or 50-year study showing there's absolutely no nutritional benefit from drinking. Not that I ever thought there was, except for the happiness factor for some of you who enjoy having some cocktails or refreshments. But anyways, it was a struggle because my dad loved wine, and all the mock wine or fake wine, whatever you call it, was just terrible. He also liked beers, and he saw an ad for this company right here. It's this company called Bero, or Bero, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Bero. And this is the first fake beer or mock beer that's ever been put out that's actually tasty and closely resembles a real good beer. In my opinion, you know that these are fake beers, but they are close. All I'm trying to do is basically cut some calories and just have something in between some of the real drinks I have to slow me down. Not only is it good for my health, I still get to be social and have something, and I enjoy the taste of beer. So this was a perfect game changer for me. And not only that, but most beers I was drinking before were like IPAs that were about 300 calories. And all these beers are anywhere from 40 to 60 calories. That's it. So I wanted to start with this company, Bero, because that's the story of my dad finding these. He's the type of guy that once he finds something he likes, he will just stick with that brand. And I couldn't have that because now that I'm into it, I want variety. So that's what I'm going to go through today. But just to look at the Bero's website, you know, they just came out with an October beer too, so that might be number 6. They have a Noon Wheat, a Hazy IPA, a Golden Pilsner, and a Double Tasty, and I believe an Oktoberfest one, but that one might just be seasonal. And by the way, I'm going to go through a bunch of different ones, and at the end, I'm going to give you my reviews on the best one. So if you're interested, stay with me. Funny enough, Bero came across because of Tom Holland, Spider-Man. So I'm not sure if he was an alcoholic and he was trying to quit, or he just always liked to taste the beer, but he never wanted to drink alcohol. He co-founded this company, and he had the exact problem that I'm talking about, that all these fake beers just tasted terrible. No one's ever going to drink this to supplement real alcohol or real beers. And he got with somebody and created Bero. Every single beer they have is pretty good and tasty. If you're drinking real beers, having one of these in the middle of each of your real ones, not only is it cutting calories down, but it's also giving you a chance to hydrate back up because there's no alcohol at all. So most people who drink don't always catch themselves after they're having their third or fourth drink that alcohol is a slow buildup and it's going to hit you hard later. So, if we don't feel it now, right, we keep going. Well, this helps that alcohol catch up to where now you don't need as much. But anyways, I thought this was a great company, great tasting. And I think Tom Holland single-handedly, obviously he's the face. There's probably another co-founder behind him and everything that pumps this, but they have led the charge of all the mock beers. Now every single brand is coming out with these because I think they're realizing Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I guess, is almost there. They're not drinking as much as millennials, Gen X, and everyone above. So they're all jumping on this bandwagon. And I think it's great because they'll still stay in business. They can still have the other ones that us Gen X and boomers and everything love, but we can play nice with some of these other brands. So here's the next big company that I just saw, Athletic Brewing Company. They kind of copied what Bero was doing, pumped out like 4 different ones, basically just to match Bero, but I think do it better because by God, out of my whole family, we all kind of like the athletic beers better. Maybe there's one Bero that we like better than the athletic version. If you're not watching this on YouTube or Spotify, right on the main screen, there's a brand new one that I've never seen before. I can't wait to try this one called Spruce and Juniper, which is that going to taste like kind of gin and tonic? I don't know. Scrolling down, it looks like they got a brown and a hoppy pale. These are all brand new. I've never seen this prior to recording, so I can't wait to try those. The ones they started with, looks like they won all these different awards, was their Hazy IPA, their regular IPA, their Golden Pilsner, which is great. And then they put in a Mexican-style copper beer, which is extremely different than anything you've ever tasted. It tastes basically like a good pale ale that's put in a copper mug like you would do a Moscow Mule. But just the taste, that little tangy taste of copper, it's something different. I'm loving it. Then they have their own dark beer, which I haven't even tried. They're just pumping stuff out. Here's the only one right here, Athletic Light. We tried this one. It was absolutely terrible. You might as well just drink water. And then there's like hop water, which is basically 0 to 10 calories. They take the essence of IPA and put those bitters in water, and they call it hop water. It's just awful. Why would you do that? And this is worse than that. I'd rather have hop water than this Athletic Light beer. It's so bad. So what I've come to find out is anytime the calories are too low, all the flavor's gone. So this Athletic Light right here is 25 calories. I've tried different brands that are around the same, 20, 30. They're all terrible. Hop water being like 0 to 10. That's like bad too. It just seems like the sweet spot is 60 calories has to be like the bare minimum, or 50 maybe. The highest I've ever seen is 85, and I can't remember which one it was. This is like half or more the calories of all the other beers that we enjoy, and look how many different ones there are. The only problem is they're exactly the same price as regular beers because it does cost more to make it. They basically just make the beer that they wanted to make, and then there's an extra process. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they take the alcohol out, so it costs a little bit more, so it makes sense. But for those of us who are trying to quit, not have to worry about having too high of a blood alcohol, if you're just going to have a couple, these hit the spot. Like I said, Athletic Brewing Company just topped Bero in my opinion, but I still like having all of them to have variety. All right, so now I'm on Bevmo, and I've also got Total Wine up here. This helps me remember some of the ones I've tried before. When I was searching for all these different beers, I Googled, of course, and used Gemini. What are the top non-alcoholic beers out there? Almost every single one had something different for their top 5. In the top 3 every single time was Guinness Zero. I don't drink Guinness all the time, maybe St. Patty's Day and a couple other times during the year. I love Guinness, but I usually need more, and I like that IPA taste. But Guinness Zero, this is the closest thing to the real thing of any other beer and fake beer out there. You put a Guinness and a Guinness Zero next to each other, unless you're an expert, it's just a guessing game. It is great. So I do agree, that is probably the number one out there. And then looking at this, Heineken Zeros, Coronas, Stella has one that's 0. Never tried Beck's. They're pretty good. They'll get you by. They're not as good as like Barrels and Athletic beers, but they're definitely better than O'Doul's and some of these other brands that just have absolutely no flavor. I bet you Budweiser Zero, I wouldn't even want to try it. I can't even stand regular Budweiser. Some of the ones I've tried that I really like, that Guinness Zero I mentioned. Here's one, Lagunitas IPA. That one is great. Blue Moon. Here's another one. I'll put it second to Guinness as far as matching the flavor of the original. It is so hard to tell which one is alcoholic and which one's not alcoholic. So I usually pick up Blue Moons for sure for a party. Sam Adams, the Haze IPA, that one is great. This company right here, Brewdog, I couldn't stand any of these. And that's when I first discovered Most of them were like 20, 25 calories. That's where I decided it's got to be above 60. Maybe for some people, I couldn't do it. Basically, it's hop water. Then they were very tasty for hop water, but they were not beers. All right here, Golden Brew Mango Card. For those of you who enjoy that one, this is probably tied in second place with Blue Moon, how close it is to the original. Mango Card, most people would fail if you had to do a guessing game of which one is which. I would probably be able to figure it out. All right, so let's move over to Total Wine and Spirits just to help me with all these different brands I've tried. Surprisingly, like the Asahis, they are of like the cheap beers, the Heineken Zeros, the Corona Zeros, the Stella Zeros. Sapporo and Asahi, of all those cheaper light beers, are the closest thing to the originals versus those other ones. And which is great for those of you who associate like Sapporos and Asahis for if you like sushi. So I pair that up when we're having, we just did a Korean barbecue and I was like, oh, we got to do sake, we got to throw in Sapporos. And the beautiful part was I was able to enjoy lots of sake because I was watering down everything with Sapporo and Asahi Zeros and it had the same great taste. It was just excellent. I think I blew a 0.02 by the end of the day. This is nuts. So right here is another one, Samuel Adams. It's called Just the Haze IPA for a hazy IPA. This one was great. And most of these you can find at Vaughn's or Ralph's. There was only a few of these that I actually had to go to Total Wine and Spirits or Bevmo to find. I'm always doing it so I can find the newest ones. Yeah, there's so many out there. I'll have to do another one in 6 months to find any other gems. I think I found everything else that I've seen and it was not great. I didn't mention, and it's mostly because it was under that 60 calorie marker. So anyways, going for the top ones in each category, let's go with the Dark Nitro. I mean, there's only one in this category anyways. And that'd be Guinness Zero. I would always have that in my mini fridge downstairs in the man cave. As far as regular IPA, surprisingly, Bero, who was just above average, but nothing was amazing. This new one they put out, Double Tasty West Coast IPA, I put that basically in, just a regular IPA category. For those of you hardcore beer drinkers, you would always separate those, right? But I would give this number one and always have that in my mini fridge to have that IPA tasting beer. All the other ones I mentioned were great. I just think this one, for some reason, has got it. I think if you needed to have a wheat beer, you cannot beat this. Blue Moon, non-alcoholic Belgian white. However, not that this is in the same category, but it's weedy tasting. Maybe it's got this fruit flavor. So I kind of separate these. This is kind of a similar taste. Mango Cart, non-alcoholic. I have to have both of these. If you're going to put a gun to my head, I would probably put Mango Cart just because I have that wheat beer with a little bit of fruity flavor versus the Belgian white, which has kind of got the more vanilla flavor. I put these in two different categories, but this one is by far one of the best for that fruit flavor. So I would have both and I put it in its own category. For a light tasting beer, Athletic Brewing, this Mexican style copper, there's something about this one. Most of the light beers are going to taste terrible because they're going to go under that 60 calorie marker. And I think this Mexican style copper is 45, but for some reason with that copper twinge to it, this one for light beer is my favorite by far. So we'll go with the win on that one. And then for the winner of the Hazy IPA, Sam Adams Hazy IPA. Prior to this, it would have been Athletic Brewing Company with their Hazy. But after tasting this one, it's the most refreshing thing I've ever tasted. Beer drinkers that like only IPAs, of course, you'll throw the Hazies in the trash. But for those of you who want a little softer IPA with a little citrus twinge, that's why we drink the Hazies. I like all of them. But this Sam Adams Hazy IPA, number one in that category. So for Pilsners, Golden Pilsners, I haven't tried that many. The only reference I have is either from Bero or Athletic. Athletic has the better Golden Pilsner. There's got to be ones that are better than that because it's, not my favorite choice out of all the different beers we just talked about. I'll usually pick the IPAs or the Mango Cart. So if I have to give a winner, that's it. I haven't tried any dark beers or stouts. I'm not a huge stout guy anyways, and I already got Guinness in the stout category, even though it's technically not a real heavy dark beer. For those of you who know one, message me on my email or my school community and let me know. So for an amber beer, I haven't found any, to tell you the truth, but looking here on Google for top 25, this one kept popping up as the best one, and I can't even find this at any of the Total Wines or Bethmos. I'm not sure how I'm going to find this one, but I guess Shiner Bock is the company. But Shiner Rodeo Red Amber. This is on every search I've ever done, says this is the best red. And I'm just waiting. How come more companies haven't pumped out more reds? And I'm a big amber guy. One of my favorites is down here in San Diego is the Pizza Port, and they have their red amber. And Jeremiah Red from BJ's restaurant. I don't know if Any haters hate the franchises out there, but man, that Jeremiah Red is out of control. So that's kind of the summary of my experience. For the big beer drinkers out there, I probably missed a few sours just because I don't like them. Porters, which I kind of just include in the dark stouts. And shame on me, right? But for the people who are just looking for something different, this is more for you. Obviously, a brown would be nice to have. I love brown beers. But regardless, the whole name of the game is we're over 40, we're trying to cut calories or maybe cut drinking altogether. And if you can't cut it completely, this is a great start, I think. It's working on me. I'm drinking half of what I used to, and I already cut half of what I used to when I hit 40. So now I'm progressing to what Gen Z is already doing. I don't think I want to cut it forever. For those of you that have decided that, that's great. But for those of you still out there that just, want a few beers or a couple drinks and space it out, you're still having a good time, as long as you're drinking responsibly and you know that alcohol is not great. It does have a taxing on your liver. But in everything I'm doing and biohacking, when I do my blood work, I'm watching my liver enzymes, my doctor's watching everything, and I'm always in the elite status of all his clients. Every time I go, he tells me, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. So I feel, I really love some of my mixed drinks. I really love some of my beers, and I'm willing to do some of these things to help out my health if I can't give it up completely. So I hope that helps, but I just wanted to do a review for any of you that are all interested. I've spent a lot of money between me, my dad, my brother-in-law, of going through all these different beers specifically. And instead of wasting your money on a lot of this trash, here's some winners right off the bat. Anyways, I'll wrap it up with that. If anyone out there has any big winners that I didn't even mention, I would love it if you message me. My email is always in my show notes. You can check out my SKOOL community, Over 40 Fitness Hacks. It's in the link, or just Google Over 40 Fitness Hacks, SKOOL, SKOOL. I'm the first one that pops up. It's a free community, and we talk more about this stuff, and maybe if there's enough people, it ends up becoming a thing. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.